I'd like you to imagine stepping into a fairy tale. Towering medieval ramparts, a walled city on a hill, a place so cool that even Hollywood took notice. Like in the 1991 film Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. The dramatic medieval walls of this city stood in for Nottingham Castle. So today, we're going to go on an armchair exploration of my fairy tale city, the one I always dreamed of possibly living in, Carcassonne, France. One of the questions we'll be asking is, can we live there without a car? So let's rewind a little. I really haven't always wanted to live in Carcassonne because I didn't know it even existed. As some of you might know, I'm kind of a geek. And one of the first places the name Carcassonne entered into the conversation was at a board game night. The board game's name? Carcassonne. That game uses the setting of the medieval city for its tile-laying medieval landscape play. So for me, Carcassonne started as a game, but the image of that fortress city has stuck with me ever since. And since I always wanted to live in France as an artist, very young artist, I began to fixate on Carcassonne as the first place I wanted to think about when moving to France. Today I want to zoom in a little bit. What's the history? What's life really like there now? Could somebody like me and my husband maybe call it home one day? And preeminently, would we be able to live there without a car? I mean, comfortably live there, because I know you can live almost anywhere without a car, but would we be able to go other places and get around? Is there good public transportation to get us to outlying villages or burbs or areas? So while we're talking, I'm going to be showing you photos of Carcassonne and telling you a little bit about its origin. Carcassonne sits in southern France in the Aude department. It's perched above the Aude River, and it also is right along the Canal du Midi. So there's a canal running through town and the Aude River. Carcassonne's roots go way back. It was originally a hill fort built by the Celts. Then in the 1st century, yes, I said 1st century AD, it was fortified by the Romans. Over the centuries, it became a really, I guess you could say, formidable medieval stronghold. Now, the most castle-y part, the one that was used in the movie, is the walled city. And it's known as the Cité de Carcassonne. It's a double ring of medieval walls with towers and turrets and ramparts and all the fun things. And it was built and expanded on over many eras. Now, in the 1800s, I believe it was going into dereliction, but there was one particular architect who was like, no, this can't happen. This needs to become a heritage site. This is a beautiful place. And so he designed and rebuilt the crumbling parts of the city. In the 13th century, after the Crusades and annexation into France, and taken by the French crown, of course, the city's military role began to change. And I found the name of the architect. His name was Eugene Viollet-le-Duc. Yeah. Hopefully pronounced it properly. I don't know. He's the one that rescued the whole fortress from ruin. And then, looking it up again, in 1997, it became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I'm not sure I can find any overhead or clips to show you that are free right now. I can't really afford to pay for a site. So just imagine yourself, when I'm showing you these pictures, just kind of gliding over this city and how fascinating and completely beautiful it is. Now, Carcassonne is set up as one city, but two distinct places. The walled city on the hill is on the other side of the Aude River from what they call the new city, and new is relative. So most of the people live in the lower city on the other side of the river, the newer part of the city. There are still somewhere around 55 to 60 people that still live inside the walls. So in the new city, life's less medieval, but it's still very French. And no matter where you are in the new city or in its surroundings, you've always got that view. So what's it like to live here? I've been diving into a lot of immigrant voices, expats as some people call them. I'm not sure I like that name so much. I'm not an expat so much as I'm going to be an immigrant. I guess it's just, splitting hairs. One I really recommend is Rich Kagan. Rich and his husband moved to Carcassonne with their little girl, and he writes a Substack called Le Simple Sudiste. You can find him under that name or under Rich Kagan. He gives very candid and humorous looks on everyday life as an expat in Carcassonne. One of the realities that he and others have pointed out is that the public transportation system, i.e. the bus system, in and around Carcassonne is, let's say, not always punctual. So if you're hoping to live a car-free life and easily get to the outlying villages, you'll really want to keep that in mind. The town does have a train station, and you can connect to multiple places on either side. You can go south to Narbonne on the Mediterranean, or you could go northeast to Toulouse in about an hour either way. But if you want complete mobility within Carcassonne and its surroundings, you're probably going to want a car. Cost of living? It's generally more modest than like the Riviera, or certainly more modest than Paris. A lot of expats live in the more modern town. Carcassonne's not really a village. It consists of close to 40 to 50,000 people, I think. There is a pretty decent sized expat community in Carcassonne, and Rich styles himself as I'm drawing people to Carcassonne. He's like the Pied Piper of Carcassonne. He's gotten something like 5 different people interested in buying there, and one has already moved there. But the expat community isn't huge, and it is certainly still more low-key compared to the bigger city hubs. One thing also you want to remember, tourism is a huge part of the economy. If you don't like big crowds of tourists, you will not be happy going in, especially going into the older city during the on-season months, which is from usually like end of April to October. It's crowded. That makes it more vibrant, and people are able to make money while the tourists are there because they're definitely coming down in, but it also changes the economy. Tourism is a huge part of the economy. So when the tourists leave, what tends to happen to the smaller businesses that rely on the tourists for their income? Either they're going to close up for the season, or they're going to struggle to stay solvent. Also, from what I've learned from Rich, is that because it's a big tourist town, it's a very big tourist draw, the farmers markets, the Saturday market, is quite a bit pricier than what I've seen in other markets in other places in France that aren't quite as touristed. It's kind of like going to farmers markets here in the United States, really, because everything is priced up. I mean, it has to be. In Carcassonne, it's kind of like that. Prices are a bit higher for the local market because a lot more tourists are shopping there, wandering around. One of the things that draws me to Carcassonne is that as someone who lives a creative life and wants to bring my creative business to France, where I'll be living, Carcassonne offers some pretty rich subject matter. It's inspiring. Every corner you turn, you can be inspired to sit down and sketch something, or have a little taste of a wine at a wine tasting, or a wine festival, which I think is going on this past weekend in Carcassonne. I mean, imagine sitting in a courtyard in the old city. You've got your sketchbook, you got your glass of rosé, you're looking at big stone walls that cast long shadows. If you look over the wall, you can see vineyards just stretching out into the distance, and you can see mountain ranges on either side in clear weather. Anyway, inspiration is around every corner. But, and this is a reality check, living in a medieval city that relies on tourism isn't all picture perfect. For example, Rich even wrote recently about how the off-season winter can be challenging for small shops. Visitor numbers drop, local businesses struggle, and they're struggling to stay afloat. And the quiet can feel pretty different from the summer's tourist buzz. If you're the kind of person who thrives on year-round hustle and bustle and life, full-service amenities, you might find the slower months a little less exciting. They require a lot of adjustment. On the other hand, if you love quiet, a little more introspection, to snuggle up in the more winter months, they have mild winters there, but you still get cold. There's still cold times. If you like that, it could be a real win. For creatives, this place could be a dream. There are fewer distractions, rich surroundings, and as a person who's planning on doing creative retreats, wherever I happen to end up, or even in Carcassonne, even if I end up living somewhere else, I'm still planning on doing a creative retreat in Carcassonne in the future. That could help local boutique hotel businesses and local restaurants and vineyards and creative shops and stuff like that, and they'll have money to spend. So for creatives, this place could be a dream. There are fewer distractions. There are very rich surroundings. You're going to find fewer shopping, dining, and convenience options. Because it's going to be a smaller town, you'll find a little bit less variety where restaurants, etc. are concerned, and you might find that it's more difficult to find certain ingredients. Not to diss anybody. I'm just saying, if you like to create things and eat different kinds of food and dishes, it might not be a place where you're going to find a huge variety. However, again, you can hop on the train to Toulouse and the world of culinary delights opens up to you. Same with shopping. Hop a train, you're in Toulouse, and you've got all the shopping a person ever needed. So here's what I'm thinking. Carcassonne has been for quite a few years my fairy tale dream of France. That board game connection, and I still am going to play the game Carcassonne in Carcassonne. I know it's trite and silly, but I have to. I must. And I found out that I don't even need to bring the game with me because every corner gift shop in Carcassonne has that game available because a lot of geeks like me want to do that. Anyway, the board game connection, the castle with the city image, anywhere you are in the town, you can look up and see that beautiful castle. And even the holidays, they have great Christmas market. They have one of the biggest, most beautiful fireworks displays on Bastille Day, which is what, July 14th, which is over the castle. And it's just fantastic looking. I've seen it on video. I've never gotten to see it in person, but they have a lot of festivals and celebrations and really cool stuff, like many towns in France. Even though I want to go, no, I want it, it's mine. But as I think more seriously about it and about the location, it's becoming a little more clear to me. First, my husband and I have realized, after living for many years in like a subtropical feeling climate, very hot, very humid, lots of mosquitoes. And then this past year, after seeing the heat waves and the 3 different wildfires between Narbonne and the Western Pyrenees Mountains, we're not sure they're quite as geared up for climate change as some of the other places. So the fairy tale part is very real, yeah. And there's already a built-in community. I already can't wait to meet Rich and Yuri and their daughter and sit at a cafe sipping rosé and laughing about our immigration issues and dealing with the prefectures and all of these things. It's real, yes, the fairy tale image, but the lifestyle, the logistics, and the seasonal realities also matter. For me, I don't mind tourists. All of my work has always hinged upon tourists and tourism and people who want to buy my art, who see my art and love it and want to buy it. And it's difficult to take somebody or to have a creative retreat in a place that's not very touristed because they're not peopled with as many hotels and chateaus, etc., that are built for those kind of retreats. And as I've mentioned before, a lot of the towns that aren't as well touristed are struggling. A lot of the city centers where all the history and the beauty and the neat stuff is to start to close a lot of places. A lot of them look a little boarded up sometimes. So tourism is a great thing. You also have to know that certain times of year, tourism is going to be better than other times of year, and certain times of year, it's going to get crowded. Would I live here? Yeah. With my eyes wide open, I know that I probably won't be able to live there. My husband probably won't be able to live there. It would be difficult and annoying to deal with the off again, on again transport system, and not being able to get around to the local places that are beautiful that you want to see because there's no train connection. So we would need a budget. We would need a plan for transportation, assuming that we would not have those urban conveniences that we kind of would like to have. I mean, the idea of living a creative life and walking around painting all of this beautiful medieval architecture and even the in-town, the newer city architecture with the colorful, gorgeous houses, it's all extremely inspirational. That's still very alive to me in my heart. It's still on the list, but I'm afraid it's going to take a lot of convincing myself and my husband to keep it on the list because of our desire to live in a community that's large enough and has enough good public transportation to get us around without a car. So I'd love to hear from you. Would you ever choose a place like Carcassonne to live? What would matter most for you? The fairy tale backdrop or the practical day-to-day? Drop a comment below. Let's chat about it. I myself find that I need to live in a place that is beautiful to me, where I see beauty around me. And Carcassonne is definitely that. Oh, like I said, it's still on the list, but probably not going to make the final cut. And that's because of transportation, potential weather. It's just hot. I'm over hot. And really, those are the only two reasons. So if you're curious, next time I do one of these armchair explorations, we'll probably be going to either Avignon, France, which is in the southeast side of France, or La Rochelle, France, which is in the Charente-Maritime area, which is a couple hours above Bordeaux on the Atlantic coast. If you have any preferences, shoot me a line and tell me which you'd like to see first. Please don't forget to hit that like with the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you then.